Welcome everybody, and in particular I'd like to welcome our guests. To commence the meeting, I will ring our bell. As Sergeant-at-Arms said, it's quite easy to change your name on Zoom. A little box at the right-hand side where there are 3 dots, and if the members could identify themselves as members, then we'll know clearly who are guests. So if it's possible for you to do that, I would ask if you would. I'd particularly like to thank, and we're honoured today with the visit of the District Governor, Francis Umici. And I wanted to start the meeting by asking Francis if he'd be kind enough to address us. Francis, are you ready and willing?
Thank you, President David. May I most respectfully recognize the very distinguished presence of the District Governor nominee, Brian Coleman, and of course, the assistant governors here present. And I also want to recognize the past district governors joining us today. I've seen past district governor Clive, past district governor Eve, and indeed past president of Rotary in Great Britain and Ireland. Ladies and gentlemen, one and all, I bring you greetings from my president, Gazala Chapman, and members of my Rotary Club, the Rotary Club, for the opportunity to address your club. I do know that you also have a guest speaker today. I did promise I will try to use the best of 15 at maximum 20 minutes. This is a task that I genuinely consider with so much responsibility, not least because I have past district governors here in this room. And I do hope that you would find my address useful, and perhaps it's going to be the harbinger of many more good things to come in our relationship as a club and as a district. It is a requirement in Rotary for the district governor to visit clubs in an official capacity in the course of the Rotary year. Now, of course, it is impossible for me to undertake that task physically. However, technology has come to the rescue. I acknowledge that remote communication does not come naturally to many, myself included. But like in everything in life, practice the same makes perfect. We learn as we go along. I don't even have to worry with parking today. And so it is an opportunity that the situation we are in has provided. As I said in my maiden monthly bulletin, the pandemic, for all its consequences, has opened opportunities for us. Many clubs are able to meet today in some way to do the good work of Rotary. Now this year, the Rotary International President Holger Knack has given us the unique theme, Rotary opens opportunities. As I see it, these are opportunities created by Rotary, which could be for ourselves, be it in making new friends and acquiring new skills. It could also be for our communities. So be it in taking part in leader picking or other local service projects, and the world through global partnerships that provide health or economic solutions to forgotten communities. After all, it is our duty as Rotarians to make that impact. In the words of one of our past district governors, Martin Goody, he said that Rotary is the best thing that happened to him beside family. Now I know that each and every one of us here in this room seated today have got our own Rotary stories. But whatever your Rotary story is, let that come to impact on the community that we serve. Now, recently I shared my vision for our district this Rotary year. I must emphasize that they are not pet projects of mine. The idea is to provide us with a realistic target, which links directly to Rotary's global projects in the 6 areas of focus, which will soon include a 7th by way of environment. If completed satisfactorily, clubs will be in line for both district and Rotary international recognitions. Mr. President, if you don't mind, I would like at this juncture to please share my screen. And it normally happens that the host of the meeting will give me the privilege to be able to do that. Okay, I'm sure you can see my screen now. That is the profile of your district governor. I'm not special. I was born in Nigeria. My father was a civil servant and my mother was a school teacher. I was a Rotaractor. I served Rotaract as president and eventually joined Rotary. I was privileged to serve my club in all the avenues of service, including as president in 2012-13. And then I came on the district, and then I became the Interact officer, and subsequently assistant governor for 3 years in Central, West, and Southeast areas. Subsequently, I became international chairman for 2 years, from where I was nominated as district governor in 2017. Now, this means nothing. It is not my intention to make today's meeting about me. This meeting is about us, about where we are going as Rotarians. Let me quickly state that it will not be necessary to decide in this meeting whether what I have said will be implemented or not. But I think it's important to lay bare my expectations this Rotary year. These are very simple targets. I've asked clubs to ensure that we have 3 new clubs of any model. And of course, that more of us than ever are earning the presidential citation. And that in addition to that, we would have to increase our online presence by reporting more of our activities on the web. On the face of it, these are very smart targets that we can achieve. But if we did nothing, it will not give the impact which I set out to have this Rotary year. Let me elaborate a little bit on the first task of forming clubs of any, 3 new clubs of any model. Currently in Rotary, we have about 7 club models. So you could have Rotaract. Rotaract clubs are now, by the new enactment, partners. So by that, through their club council, they could decide to remove the upper age limit, and you find 80-year-old Rotaractors. So whether we accept it or not, Rotaract has come to stay. To be able to form a Rotaract club, it used to be in the past that they required a Rotary club to sponsor them. I think maximally 3 Rotary clubs. But currently, they don't need that. Rotaract clubs can set themselves up. So long as they are 18 and above, they are entitled, and they could remain Rotaractors for as long as they choose. They are now expected to pay subs, which is very minimal. But the point I'm trying to make is that we can use this as an opportunity to find 20 people who are willing to come together for Rotary to become a Rotary club, a Rotaract club, and will count towards our numbers. If you're not comfortable with the Rotaract model, you could look at the cause-based clubs. These are people who come together under very specific causes. It could be health, it could be environment, it could be education. And as long as you're 20 and you are in good standing, you can form a cause-based club or a corporate club, which is very popular in very big organizations. People who work in the same NHS trust, for example, or very big industries. They can come together, make time, and become Rotarians in their own right. Passport clubs are yet another model whereby you belong or you commit to a specific number of meetings in one club. And of course, you can attend meetings of other Rotary clubs across the world. This is particularly for those who are frequent travelers, who may not have all the time within their own clubs to do all the work they want to do in Rotary. Again, you require 20 members to be forming a passport club or an e-club, my own club. What you're doing here today is nothing less than an e-club. I have been used to this for as long as I've always been a Rotarian. Satellite clubs, yet another model. The thing about satellite clubs, it's normally an offshoot of another Rotary club. So Rotary Club of London, people find the obligations of attending their club and doing their normal day-to-day responsibilities. They could decide, okay, it doesn't suit us, your timing. They could form a satellite meeting or a satellite club, and they require only 8 members. From there, they can apply for their own charter at some point. Finally, we have the traditional clubs like I'm addressing today. But for COVID-19, you would have been at your clubhouse having fellowship, sharing a meal. But be that as it may, we still have this opportunity of doing Rotary in some way. The second target I have set for our district is to ensure that Rotary clubs earn the citation. I am giving a typical page for another club, Rotary Club of Wembley. This is their own score sheet. Now, I went back and I looked at the work you did last year, and I was really shocked that the Rotary Club of London, for all of the work they did not pursue the citation. Now, somebody asks me, what is the point of the citation? The citation is not for President David. Neither is it for me as district governor. Say it this way, you have members who want to join your club in 2 years from now, in 3 years from now. How are you going to prove to them that you have been an active club if there is no records at all where people can see what you have done? The idea of setting goals in Rotary Club Central is to show what you have done over time. That could be inspiring other people to join you. Let's be clear. I don't see anybody who will go to an organization that has no purpose or a goal. That is the point of trying to ensure that the work you do and which you continue to do are reported in Rotary Club Central. This year, it's been particularly simplified. If I simply change what I have on the screen to your club, it doesn't make a difference. You notice that your club wouldn't have set any goals last year because no goals were set, no goals were completed. Because no goals were completed, you then didn't put yourselves up for the presidential citation. Does that imply that you didn't do any work last year? Of course not. You did a lot of work, but I didn't say it. I had to dig this because I wanted to use that as an example. Now, this year, it's been made simple. President Holger has proposed 25 goals. Out of these 25 goals, you only need to achieve 13 to end the citation. Come on, that's barely 50%. Now, if you asked me, all the work you did last year could easily, very easily count towards the citation. So why won't we? Not necessarily for members of your club, but for other clubs in the district who are looking up to you for guidance, for leadership. There are so many people London has about 8 million residents. Surely there must be people who are willing to identify with your club and your club's name. If they then come to you and they cannot be, or they cannot see in the records what you have done in the past, I think they would hesitate to be members of your club. Now, I have proposed 5 easy steps of achieving the citation. I spoke to your assistant governor before coming to this meeting, and I'm told, and this is really good news, that you have set your goals this year. I was pleasantly surprised because we don't normally get clubs setting goals in July. They come to it sometime in September when I always think it's already too late. Be that as it may, I have said, review as a club the 25 goals. That you have already done. Step 2, I said, select 13 goals minimum. That you have also done. Now, step 3 says, record the goals in Rotary Club Central without delay. That you have equally done. So what you now require is step 4 and step 5. Now, step 4 says that the goals you have set, go on and achieve them. They could be things as simple as collaborating with Rotary, or even on a walk, or a very simple project like adding one new member to your club this Rotary year. Now, all you need to do to finish off this is to go on to step 5 to verify that you have achieved those goals you have set for yourselves. There is a hint. If your club could spend 5 or 10 minutes asking 2 basic questions, how many goals have we been able to complete? How many goals are pending? That makes it a lot easier for members of this club to keep tabs on their progress. What you would find is that by Christmas, you would have successfully achieved all the goals, and then just by time. Because what it says 13 goals, I'm sure Rotary Club of London can very comfortably achieve more than 13, in which case it puts you in the running for citation with extra laurels. It could be with bronze, it could be with silver, it could be with platinum or gold, whatever the case may be. 13 is just the minimum. So I feel very confident that by the leadership you have in place this year, in the able hands of President David, that achieving the citation will not be too onerous, because you're already doing a lot of the work that I expect as your district governor that will earn you that recognition. The final target I have is a very tricky one. I always say get noticed. It is to increase our online presence by reporting more of our activities on the web. Now, it's a very common quote by Bill Gates, that if your business is not on the internet, then your business will be out of business. In today's marketplace, tell me of any successful organization that does not have an online presence. We will not be different in Rotary. And so I have posed 5 questions that if you can answer in the affirmative to 4 of those, then you can be rest assured that you have a considerable online presence. The first one says, does your club have a website, a Facebook page, or an Instagram? I don't expect answers. You can only answer that for yourselves. And it might well be that your club finds the use of a website difficult. Nothing stops you from using Facebook or the Instagram account to publicize what you do, your activities. The idea is that others would see what you do. That could either create an opportunity for a new member or somebody who is just willing to volunteer. Just by look at what happens on YouTube. Most websites or most channels get more hits because of how fresh their contents are. So if I'm going to the second question, how frequently do our clubs or your club post on these platforms? So do you post in January and wait until September to do the next post? If that's your case, then you are very unlikely to attract people. But if you are frequent, which I think you are, then you get more people responding and trying to be part of what you do. The third question I've posed there, is the branding on your postings consistently correct? If they are consistently correct, you will notice that brands, big brands, Toyota, Coca-Cola, Sainsbury's, they are consistent with their logo because they want to have a consistency of message. That should not be any different in Rotary. And therefore, you make those reflections today and check, do all of our communications, do they all carry the current informatics? Do they carry the latest branding? And question 4, I'm asking you, is there somebody responsible? The answer would probably be yes. And finally, I did ask the district secretary to put something in the notices last week regarding Rotary Radio. Does your club have any link to local media outfit? Perhaps you take advantage of Rotary Radio that will announce your members' birthdays or your special events. Now, I also want to talk very briefly about the Rotary for the Future project. This is a project that is a district-wide affair, and it has to be run, or it has to run in the 2020-21 Rotary year. I have said the club should identify and agree with Rotary on at least one area for collaboration. That could easily be coming together and organizing a walk from one part of London to the next. That meets that criterion for me. Then it can also be a standalone partnership or can count towards the citation. Anything you do with Rotaract this year, as agreed by both yourselves and Rotaract clubs, will count towards this recognition. If you already have an ongoing partnership with Rotaract, I'm asking you to find a new element to whatever you are already doing to count towards this recognition. If you're able to implement it successfully, make sure it is reported to the district secretariat by the 30th of June 2021. Once it's verified, Rotary Club of London will be in line for a district recognition. This is not impossible. This is what you do on a regular basis. I therefore see no reasons why you cannot take advantage of the work you do. More importantly, to educate and carry along your younger members. Young, I don't mean in age. Young, I mean by the time they are Rotary experienced. They want to be part of something. I don't intend to bore you, Steve, with a very lengthy speech. My final thoughts. I would say that everything you're going to achieve this year will require some planning. And so Confucius tells us that success depends upon previous preparation. Without such preparation, there is bound to be failure. So some planning has to go into this, which I know that you're already doing, and some preparation will equally be part of your success. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Mr. President, I will stop sharing my screen. Thank you for listening, and if you have questions, I will attempt to answer them. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed, District Governor Francis. Yes, I feel I have to respond to a couple of the observations you made. Yes, we are seeking a presidential citation this year, but we don't think that most prospective members will access Rotary Central to see whether we're not a prospective club. We have a very good media presence, as I'm sure you're aware, and we have many hits every month, and we have a media officer who ensures that, communications officer. So I think you could use us as an example, but it's very difficult to achieve everything that everyone would like, and we do wish to support you and help you in achieving your objectives for your year, and I'm sure you will be helping us achieve ours. And so I thank you for that. I would ask, I'm not sure how we're going for time, Clive, but I wondered if we could take questions by chat from our members that would like to address you. I know that there are many district governors, assistant district governors, past district governors, assistant district governors, and presidents of other clubs who I'm sure have their own channels of communication. But I would ask any of our members that would have a question for District Governor Francis to post the question. I'd ask Clive if he could make those questions available, if they don't come generally privately, to District Governor Francis, and perhaps we could come back to him to answer those questions towards the end of the meeting. I'd rather do it that way than interrupt the meeting, particularly for the moment, if that's all right with you, District Governor.
Absolutely. I'm very happy with that, if that's your consensus.
Thank you. I'd now like to welcome all our other visitors today. I have notification of some, but I would ask our visitors to shout out, to put their hands up so that we can identify them. I know we have visitors from Nigeria, we have visitors from India, we have our resident Jordanian visitor. But please, would you identify yourself so that we can welcome you as a club?
Yeah, Vijay is here. Vijay from India is with us again today. He's waving. You can see him on your screen. And of course, we have Rima, as you've mentioned. Rima, a frequent visitor to the club. We're pleased to see Rima. A visiting president locally from Stratford. We're pleased to see you. And we have Nahid, a frequent visitor. Let me see if I can find some more people from overseas. If you could put your hands up. Yes, well, Ken's not from overseas, but Ken, welcome, Assistant Governor Ken. Yes, David Obadan.
Thank you very much.
People. Good to see you.
Yeah, hello. I'm happy to be in your midst today. This should be my third meeting with you guys.
Pleased to see you. Thank you. And Pratik. Hello, Pratik.
Yeah, this is Pratik Vidwans from Rotary Club of Thane Downtown and Rotary Club of Thane Royal from India.
Good to see you.
Thank you very much. I now like to ask for reports from any officers, but particularly if our almoner would like to give a report. Harry, are you online?
Good afternoon, President and fellow Rotarians and guests. My one bit of information I have from you is that I managed to speak to our number one, Albert Kuntz, who is in Switzerland and recovering from having fractured his femur. So he's 97 years of age, but he was glad to speak to me. He wanted to make contact with you as well, and I've sent him Hugh's details. He's got a long recovery ahead of him, and I think it will be a couple of weeks before he can get back to his old people's home, as he called it. So I sent him our best wishes, and he hopes once he's back in his own environment that he'll be able to come online and join us for the meetings.
Thank you very much indeed, Harry. Are there any other officers with urgent reports to make? In which case, I won't leave too big a gap there. I wanted to announce to the club that one outcome of the council meeting last week was that I'm forming a constitutional review group because we feel that things might have slipped a little bit between the current practice and the constitution and bylaws. So more of that later, but if there's anybody who would like to volunteer for that group, they'd be most welcome. I'd now like to announce birthdays, for which we have the virtual pen. Show it in all its glory. Offer this this gift to our 3 birthday people, which is in no particular order. Well, yeah, starting with the 28th of July, Isabella Jones and Suresh Loda. And here we haven't unmuted, so please take the clapping you see on the screen as being universal. And for the 31st of July, Sabrina, I think so, Krasium. Thanks. I'd now like to ask Clive if you would unmute.
Want me to unmute everybody?
Please.
Very
Ask
well.
you.
Okay.
Ask those of you that can to pick up a glass, cup or something to toast our loyal toast, which is the Queen. Thank you.
I'm going to mute everybody again.
I'd now like to ask Tim Moore if he'd be kind enough to introduce our speaker for the day.
Thank you, President David. Fellow Rotarians and guests, through the wonders of Zoom, it's my pleasure to introduce Inge Oystein Moen from Norway, who will be our speaker today. He is the Director and Senior Advisor of the Norwegian University of Technology and Science, and his talk will be on the subject of how we contribute towards better cyber and information. And I hope you've all read the interesting speaker biography that is in Nikki's weekly bulletin, because this gives a fuller picture of him. I do not know Inge personally, but I am aware that apart from his cyber experience, he has a wide range of interests, including local politics in Norway, military history and the arts, and is therefore the ideal person to give us insight into the issues in Norway today. For me, Norway is a fascinating country and has always been a vital member of NATO, which I was within for a number of years. This was brought home to me particularly when I had the chance to visit Norway, and particularly to fly along the Russian border in the north of the country. I'm sure he will bring us up to date on the Russian threat, which we hear so much about today, and the challenges to security in Northern Europe. Over to you, Inge, and we look forward to your talk.
Thank you very much, Tim. Distinguished Governor and Presidents and ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon from Norway. I'm 1 hour ahead of you. I'm going to speak about our Center for Cyber and Information Security and how we work to contribute to a safer cyber and information security situation. Just a little bit about cyber security and information security threat. We see this as the dark side of digitalization. So the work about cyber security, information security aims to minimize the dark side of digitalization. Our center is part of the Norwegian University of Science and Technology. I'll give you a short presentation of this, but before I start, I would like to say also that my aim is to talk a little bit of what it is, what we do, what are our challenges, and then to open up for questions and answers afterwards. So I represent the Norwegian University of Technology and Science, and we have this Center of Cyber and Information Security, which is the largest research center in the Nordic countries on these fields. We have 100 researchers, 800 students, and our main challenges, to say it that in the beginning, is to recruit good professors, especially Norwegian professors. We have a very international staff. We established this center in 2014 as we saw that cyber and information security was an upcoming area because of the increasing digitalization of the society. So today we have organized our center in 8 different research groups. I should also say that the main headquarter of our university is in the city of Trondheim, which is 8 hours drive north of Oslo. We have a campus at the city of Ålesund, 8 hours drive northwest of Oslo, and a campus at Gjøvik, which is 2 hours north of Oslo. I'm presently sitting on the other side of Lake Mjøsa, where Gjøvik is on the other. I'm on the sunny side, eastern side. It is so that we invited in 2014 external stakeholders to join us in focusing upon important questions with regard to cyber and information security. And presently we have 29 partners, and these partners, they take part in discussions with us with regard to what we should concentrate upon, and they also sometimes contribute with sponsoring positions, or they put some of their own staff members to work together with us. Presently, we have 10 positions in total contributed by our stakeholders. And we have 2 interesting incoming resources. Both will work in 20% positions. One of them is a senior partner in cyber security at the international company KPMG, and the other one is the Chief Information Security Officer of Telenor, which is a large Norwegian-owned telecom operator. As examples, we have as partners, I will list some of the partners for you. We have big state and regional also electricity companies. We have police authorities, we have police intelligence service, the equivalent of MI5. We have Defense Research Institute, Defense University College. We have IBM, we have PwC, we have the Norwegian courts, just the Norwegian Security Agency, the economic police, the criminal police, the police directorate, the cyber defense, the military cyber defense. and the Defense University College, just to mention some of them. We have divided our researchers in 8 different groups. I could give examples of how they work on special focus areas now. I could stop here and give you a possibility to start questions. What do you prefer?
Focus areas.
Okay.
Ask
I
others.
could start to take a very interesting focus area, e-health and welfare security. They focus, for instance, upon how to secure medical devices from being hacked. It is so today that normal pacemakers can be hacked. So it's possible to hack a pacemaker and change the rhythm of the pacemaker, which is a quite dangerous thought. It is also a challenge today to avoid hacking of health data. For instance, it would be very inconvenient if someone could hack my medical prescriptions and give me other medical medication. For instance, alter the strength of the medication or give me another medication. This is a threat and a challenge today. And we are working hard to find solutions about that. So that was one. We have, you saw perhaps as we did in Norway in the news about Lebanon yesterday, as a state on the edge of deterioration. They have large problems with their electricity. So we have a group called Critical Infrastructure. They focus upon how to keep a stable critical infrastructure in Norway and in any other country as well. Secure electricity, secure water, secure the sewage system, secure all kind of communication. And we just have won, this group has just won a big research project, 8 years project which is called Center for Research Driven Innovation. It's a Norwegian Center for Cybersecurity in Critical Sectors. It will last for 8 years and the budget is £22 million. Partners, Inland Hospital Trust, Norsk Hydro, Kongsberg Group, Yara, Equinor, Siemens, Oslo Police District, several electricity companies, research institutes, and cybersecurity companies. It's a very, very challenging project. It's headed by one of our professors, and this guy is a Greek professor. He's living in Nicosia and in Gjøvik. Would you like me to continue?
If you have other focus groups, that's very interesting.
I have a very interesting one in digital forensics. For instance, you had that news in BBC on July 2nd. The UK National Crime Agency was able to penetrate a dark web communication system used by criminals. This communication system is called EncroChat, and it has servers in France. You can check on the internet about this company. But this National Crime Agency were able to penetrate, and the result is that more than 800 criminals around the world are now arrested. And investigations have also started in Norway. And within this group, we have another, how should I say, a Norwegian case, an ongoing murder case. It is about the disappearance of the wife of a multimillionaire in pound, Norwegian. First, 1 year ago, it was thought to be a kidnapping case. Ransom was demanded in cryptocurrency and communication was done encrypted. Situation today, the husband is charged. Investigation is going on. He's charged, but still not yet arrested, though he's not allowed to move back to either his house or any of his 2 cabins, because they are under physical investigation. 2 of our foremost professors are assisting the police in this particular case. One is a German female professor, very, very good, specialist in digital forensics. The other one is a Polish professor. He's very good in cryptocurrency and blockchain. Both these techniques are used in this case. That's a present case. I think it is so also that you have to correct me, that in the United Kingdom, when you apply for a passport, you send your photo. Is it true?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what the researchers have told me. And by using modern so-called morphing technique, it is possible for 2 persons who have somewhat similarity in their face to have a so-called morphed picture, which resembles 50% of each of them or more, so that this same passport could be used by 2 persons. And it can be used in the way that, let's say someone has a relative abroad, someone who resembles himself or herself. They can send, he or she can send her or his passport to this person, and this person can use this passport to enter UK. We have an excellent group in biometrics who are focusing upon these challenges, and also of recognition of 2-dimensional, 3-dimensional face recognition, iris and periocular recognition, fingerprint, finger vein, ear recognition, speaker, signature, gait, keystroke, gesture recognition, and also data mouse dynamics to try to detect who is doing what. For instance, to try to detect if elderly persons try to approach young persons on the internet to try to exploit them, to have intimate pictures from them, etc. We have, should I continue?
Well, I think maybe we should perhaps be thinking of moving towards questions. But I wondered if you had any observations about, you talked about sort of private crime, state crime. Do you have any concerns with your immediate neighbours?
We have always concerns with the Swedes. I'm thinking, I understand you are thinking about the Swedes. No,
no, I was thinking about Russia, but
yes,
yeah, not immediate neighbours, but just across the water. Yeah,
yeah, that's right. We have challenges with Russia. We have this great base complex on the Kola Peninsula. They have their northern strategic fleet there with their strategic submarines. And we know that their plans are so that if they mobilize, part of Northern Norway will be behind their lines. So we have a long tradition of, how should I say, good relations and peaceful relations, but we are of course conscious that there is a real threat from Russia. And therefore we need security insurance, which is called NATO. And within NATO, it is the US and the UK which are the most important for us. It is also so that the European cooperation, the European Union is also important. Unfortunately, we are not members, but we are close. And well, with regard to Russia, it's so that you cannot trust them. You cannot trust public official news or information from Russia. They will always camouflage. It is like the Russian dolls. You open one doll and there's something else inside, and you open that one and something else again. They the Russians, they try to make a distance between Norway, NATO, US, UK, and we don't like that.
Thank you. Clive, could you take over the asking of questions, and but let us start with Vasi.
Yes.
Address your question.
Thank you, President David. Thank you. Thank you very much, Inge, for your interesting talk. I have a question here. What is the biggest cyber threat now? I mean, there was one some years ago. I think it was a data breach in Australia. How do we have a cyber? I mean, what is it? Is there anything now that we should be afraid of? And the next question is, what are the advantages of cyber security? Thank you.
Yeah, one of the threats today is that the young generation that grows up is more or less glued to their smartphones. And on the smartphones, there is a number of apps and if you use these apps, and most of us does, these apps, they harvest information about us, for instance, where we are 24/7. So the Norwegian equivalent of BBC bought a program from a London-based company. It costed only £3,000. And by using that program, they were able to detect who was inside with their smartphones, who was inside the biggest army base in Norway, southern Norway. And they even were able to identify the persons, where they lived, which rank they had, and who was also inside the secret part of the camp for the special forces. So unconsciousness about cyber and information security is a danger, because that's the backside of digitalization. And if you are not aware of the backside and take actions against that, that's dangerous. And therefore cyber and information security is important, both for us as individuals, for our organizations, and for our societies.
Caroline, yeah, would you like to unmute yourself and ask your question, please?
Thank you.
Yeah. Hello, Inge. Thank you very much, Lee. That was fascinating. Obviously, I use a lot of apps. I use my phone a lot. I have what I suppose is what I think is a good firewall on my computer and security on my phone. Are the ones that the firewalls you can buy online or that are in general use, like AVG, can they be penetrated?
Unfortunately, it is so that our adversarials always work trying to find solutions to penetrate. And their instruments and techniques are growing more and more advanced. They're using big data, they're using quantum data. So it's a constant fight to improve security. We now see the recent days, there is an ongoing cyber war between Iran and Israel, for instance. They try to hit each other. Until now, I understand that the Israelis are able to defend their water supply and their electricity, and they have been able to hit the nuclear facility in Iran again. But there is a constant fight between organizations, between countries, and criminals are using cyber.
Yeah, I mean, I find, sorry, I was also, that's very useful. I mean, I don't suppose you can recommend a company that, I mean, I'm told AVG is the best sort of firewall you can get at the moment. I'm slightly worried about pacemakers because my husband has one. So I'll have to tell him to be careful. But thank you very much. That was fascinating. And it's certainly given me a lot to think about.
Rima, your question now. Would you like to unmute yourself?
Thank you, President. Thank you, Inge, for that beautiful lecture. What you said really has brought goosebumps into my army, because really all of us are addicted, if I might say, to digital forms of technology. My question for you is, what is the solution? Tell us, how can we protect ourselves? As you said, it's an ongoing war, sort of. This is the new age of the new war of this time. And the second thing, what I needed to know is, for example, yesterday I had a message from Facebook. They were asking me to sign the agreement for face recognition, so that if they put on their app. So I refused to, I denied that option for them. But there is another option, is that they will still be able to use my info and my data for other advertisers. So where are we exactly heading to? I don't feel secure at all as a human being, and mainly now, for now, this is a question.
Thank you. They were good questions. It's not easy to answer it, but the best answer is perhaps be conscious, be awake. Do update all your security on your computer and smartphone. Always try to update, but be careful. Don't click on unknown links. I receive a lot of spam every day that tries to make me do clicks I should not do, and sometimes I have done it, and then it's a hell of a job to stop being exploited. Change of Visa card, etc. Be conscious, be awake.
Thank you. Mark Sudini. Mark, would you like to unmute yourself and address your question, please?
Yeah, hi. Just a quick question. What is the, is there any, I suppose each country has got a legislation governing cyber security, or is there a way to, is there any legislation which is kind of worldwide, or how does it work? And the other question, I think you just answered. Sorry, just a quick one. What can we do, you know, each of us from our home, just to be, apart from being conscious, apart from updating our software, you know, should we buy, should we keep on our Apple, or should we buy a PC, or which is the, what's your recommendation? Thank you.
Yeah, buy the equipment you feel comfortable with. But secure that you have security systems on it, and update them every time you are asked to update. It is for us normal people very, very difficult, not possible, to get around all obstacles, because in a computer there might be constructed backdoors which we don't know about, that others can exploit, and that others do exploit sometimes. So, well, there is an ongoing process about legislation and regulation about cyber activity, but you know, it's a war going on. It's sometimes called a hybrid war, where you don't know that you are under attack, but you are attacked. And it is so also, as a comment to your question, I can quote one of our young female professors. She says it this way: there are two kinds of people today. Those who know they have been hacked, and those who don't know they are hacked. Something to think about.
Thank you. Thank you, Mark. I'm now going to Tim War and then Vijay. Tim, would you like to unmute yourself?
Inge, thank you very much. I lecture quite a lot on cyber, and many of the questions asked and many of the answers that you have given are what is going on in the world today. Caroline, just to mention Caroline, if you want any more information about your husband and what you should be doing, I could talk to you offline about that. The point that I would like to make is that cyber is changing every day. And I have lots of contact with big companies who have a large teams who are changing their cyber defense arrangements every single day of the year. I mean, I remember one told me a couple of weeks ago they had 300 attacks in one day against their systems, which they've got to patch. That's the sort of threat you're against. It is no good you thinking that you can just do one thing. There are hundreds of things that need to be done. Therefore, as Inge says, you've got to keep yourself updated, and you've got to be able to look at something and be sensible about it. Inge's absolutely right. That's the problem. Inge, I've got one question for you. What about the northern seas? What about the Arctic? Because the Russians are going in there. You have got an interest in the Arctic Ocean. What are the Norwegians doing? How do you see it from a military and a security perspective?
Thank you very much for a very good question, which I have to try to answer in a diplomatic way. We have a special interest, of course. We have first our mainland coastline, and we have our intelligence service, who is cooperating very closely with American and UK intelligence service. We have facilities that do signal intelligence towards space, aircraft, naval vessels, submarines. And then there is this northeast passage to China, which is coming. It will transform the transportation between Asia and Europe in a few years when it will be open for all the year-round transportation because the ice is withdrawing. And then we have Svalbard, the Svalbard Islands. There is an international treaty about the Svalbard Islands, and Norway is taking care of Svalbard, but there is a treaty, and the Russians are there. I visited the Russians in Barentsburg, formerly their mining city last year. There are 450 miners there, officially. When we visited them, this small mining town, we didn't see more than 3, 4, 5. Where were the others? You never know. It's like Russia. It's like the dolls. Connected to that mining city, they have a helicopter base, Cape Here, a big base officially to serve that small mining town. But everyone can understand that their real duty is to serve something else. Most probably the Northern Fleet and their strategic submarines, so that they can exchange crews in open sea. But if we discuss this with the Russians, they will always deny. So it's a delicate situation. We are trying to be diplomatic, but the Russians would have pushed us very much more if we didn't have the insurance of NATO in our back.
Thank you. And finally, Vijay, you wish to...
Thanks, Clive. Thanks, Inge, for the wonderful talk. Just one small question, continuing in relation to the cyber threats across the globe. What is your opinion about the security threat through the apps and games coming from China, as India has also taken care, and 59 apps have been cancelled, and now 49 apps yesterday also have been banned. So over 100 apps, Chinese apps have been banned. So your take on that, please.
Vijay, thank you. Very good question, and very, very, how should I say, it's very important just today. Well, now we all knows that in China, everyone has to report to the Communist Party if they require report, and they do. So we must reckon that they have made backdoors in software or in hardware or both, and be aware of that. And we, as at our Center for Cyber and Information Security, we are now making a cyber range test center, and it's very expected what's happening. Huawei is trying to push equipment on us. It will be very, very cheap. but do we dare to put it inside? This is a big discussion.
Thank you, Clive. Actually, I will call upon Anthony to do the vote of thanks.
Inge, thank you for an absolutely brilliant talk. We know about Norway and Norway's bravery and courage in the Second World War and afterwards, and also a little bit about the war that broke out a few years ago between Norway, NATO, and Russia. And you have our total admiration for where you live and how you live and the perils you face, which have been more than amply recognized in the excellent speech and fascinating speech you've given, which could have gone for a long, long time. Many, many questions. I can merely conclude with these inadequate words expressed to you as follows, Inge. Tusen takk, du hast en völlig interessant Vortrag. Which means in Norwegian, thank you for giving us a fascinating talk. Would you please show your appreciation in the usual way?
Thank you very much, Anthony. I'm sorry, I'm really sorry I was not able to show my beautiful slides, but that could be another time.
Thank you very much indeed, Anthony, and thank you again, Inge. It's now my privilege to present you with your speaker's certificate, which will fly its way to you digitally, or if you prefer, I'd send it the ultra-secure method with a stamp on it. Thank you very much for your contribution to our day. And I'm not saying that you've actually interested us. I think you've probably put fear into us rather than anything else. But it's a continuation. My brother, as I mentioned to the club a while ago, spent 2 years under a bunker north of Oslo, monitoring aerial movements. How you monitor aerial movements from sort of 200 feet, 100 feet or whatever it was under the ground, I'm not sure. But he did manage to get his PhD done while he was sat down there, so it wasn't all hard work. Thank you very much indeed. I now just like to recover 2 points that I was going to comment on, but for time, and if members have to go now, it is 2 o'clock, then please do go. But we just have 1 or 2 more items of business to cover. The member that Harry mentioned, Albert, he called him our first member. That means he is the longest serving member of this club. And Hugh gave me the information, and this is one concern less, Director General Francis, for my membership target. He gave me the information that he is already paying his subscription for the current year. And that reminds me to ask all other members, if they haven't yet done so, for the £5 a week it costs, I think this is fantastic value, to actually pay their subscriptions before Hugh or others have to go to the trouble of making phone calls and so on, which is very, very time consuming. I'd also like to mention that the charity that we're now pursuing, we've finished the previous charity, but we're still raising funds for children's causes. And those of you who could, really, I would like you to make a donation, remembering that on Zoom we aren't incurring the costs of meeting at the Chesterfield. So please do consider doing that. The speaker at the next week, on the 3rd of August, is Dr. Deepak Apte. Now, amongst his many qualifications, he was also a specialist in marine biology. But I asked Dr. Deepak to speak to us because when I was in Mumbai attending the Bombay Rotary Club, he gave me this image of a 2-ounce bird, and he was concerned about this little 2-ounce weight bird that flew from India to the Arctic Circle as it migrated and then flew back again. And his concern was when it got back to India, its environment may no longer exist for it to actually return to its base. And so it's the concern for the environment that we're considering next week, the global environment, but the ecological environment, not the political environment. And so please do tune in to listen to that. I'd also like to mention that visits to other clubs, which we didn't cover earlier in the agenda, did include Lord Hunt speaking to the Royal Thane Club, from whom we have representatives today. I also attended the meeting. And we also had Robert Ghazi attending meetings with the Rotary E-clubs in Charternight in Great Britain International, and also the Redbridge Club. So those were the club visits that I've been notified of. I'd now like to ask, I think I'll do the final toast, and then if there are people with questions, we will stay online so that we can discuss anything from Director, from the District Governor Francis's talk at the beginning of the meeting. But first, if we could just close the meeting by doing our final toast. If we could be unmuted, Clive. Rotary and peace, the world over.
Rotary and peace, the world over.
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
we can hear you.
I have actually addressed a lot of the questions came through the chat, and I've addressed many of them. If anybody still has any pending, because I am very conscious of time, I'm very happy to take them quickly. But I took most of the questions that came through the chat.
Thank you, District Governor. But I'm saying the meeting is now formally closed, so people don't have to stay.
Right.
But if you can stay for a few minutes, then
yeah, I'm happy to do for the next 5 minutes.
If there are people who'd like to ask you questions, then we'd appreciate the opportunity, I'm sure. Are there people who would like to ask a question of the District Governor?
Noam Tamir, is Noam still with us?
No one, I didn't get that one. Was it in the chat? Sorry, no one asked me the question now.
No, he asked why you hadn't mentioned anything about charity fundraising in your talk, because he thought it was important.
It is, well, it is important. Well, being that I have the experience of being an E-club, I don't think this forum provides us with the best opportunities of raising funds for charity, as it were. But if my club's model is anything to go by, we have a little button on our page whereby you can make up with a minimal fee of about $5 or £5. I don't remember what it is. That's the situation. I have always encouraged Rotarians to be doers rather than just raising money for funds. So you want to go to a park and do some charitable work rather than saying, oh, we are raising this money. I don't know if that answers Noah's question.
Thank you. Zenolito, who's been marooned in London, he's from the Philippines. He wanted information regarding the passport clubs and the E-clubs.
I have sent that to him.
Yeah, you picked that up. Good.
Yeah.
Thanks, Francis. I think that's all, President David.
Thank you. Thank you. In which case, thank you all so much for attending, for bearing with us through our little difficulties. And we look forward to seeing you all again, and hopefully not in the not too distant future.